Welcome back to another week of Ash's Fantasy Facts here on ArizonaSports.com. Believe it or not, we are going into week number 8, almost midway through the NFL season. And once again, bye weeks are creeping up on us. A lot of teams not going to be in action this weekend in week 8. Let's take a look at those 6 teams that won't be out there. Atlanta, Chicago, Green Bay, Oakland, the New York Jets, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Do the math. That's a lot of fantasy footballers not available for your roster this week. So let's try to find some solid replacements and get you a win in week number 8. Let's start, as we always do, at the quarterback position. And actually, my first guy I'm going to throw out there is actually my start of the week. Joe Flacco, the quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, he's got the Arizona Cardinals on his roster. Flacco and the Ravens embarrassed on Monday night against Jacksonville. Look for a bounce-back performance this week. I think huge numbers from Flacco. In fact, I have Phillip Rivers in one of my leagues. I'm sitting him in favor of Joe Flacco. Another quarterback I like this week is Denver Broncos quarterback Tim Tebow. Look, he might not be your prototypical NFL quarterback, but he put up good fantasy numbers last week, and that's all we really care about, not his pocket presence. Tebow will run, he will throw. He found a way to lead his team back in the fourth quarter. If you're in a bind, Tebow is not a bad start this week against a struggling Detroit Lion team. Now let's move on to the tread lightlies at quarterback. In fact, this next guy, he might just have a permanent home here in the tread lightlies at quarterbacks, and that's Arizona's Kevin Kolb. You know the drill. Kolb is not getting it done. Plus, this matchup, terrible. Cardinals on the road at Baltimore. I've seen this movie many times. The ending never changes. I'm just hoping Kolb makes it through this game. So tread lightly with him, and also tread lightly with Colt McCoy. I liked him last week. He didn't produce. Now I don't like him. If you're in a bind, find someone different than Colt McCoy. Let's move on to the running back position. A couple running backs I like in week number 8. And I promise you, this week, I promise, Chris Johnson goes off. I know he's been a dud this year as a top draft pick, but he's got Indianapolis. The Colts are quitting right before our very eyes, and look for Chris Johnson to finally put up huge numbers. I've seen guys in some leagues sitting their number 1 overall pick, Chris Johnson. Don't do it, fellas, this week. Chris Johnson will get it done. And also, a solid start at running back for the rest of the year is New Orleans Saints running back Darren Sproles. Some people hesitant because he's not your prototypical number 1 back. Who cares? Dude puts up fantasy numbers big time. He's a threat in special teams, catching the ball out of the backfield, running the ball, scoring touchdowns. Darren Sproles is about as solid as it comes at the running back spot. Let's tread lightly with a couple running backs this week. One of those guys is going to be Miami Dolphin running back Daniel Thomas. He's not 100% right now. The Dolphins stink, and they're going on the road to take on the New York Giants. That equals disaster for Daniel Thomas. Let's go ahead and leave him on the bench this week. And also, a guy I actually picked up and I thought was a solid pickup, but after further review is not, Bernard Scott, running back for the Cincinnati Bengals. Cedric Benson is on a 1-game suspension this week, so I thought, hey, that's a good pickup. But again, looking into it, Seattle, pretty good against the run, tough road game for Cincinnati, and they're saying he might split carries. I actually don't like the start of Bernard Scott. Let's move on to the wide receiver position. A couple wideouts I really like in week 8. One going up against his former friends, Anquan Boldin of the Baltimore Ravens. You know how guys play against their former team and usually have big games? I think that happens this weekend for Anquan Boldin and the Ravens. So if you got him, start him. And another guy I really like at the wide receiver position this week is Nate Washington of Tennessee. They were terrible last week. Awful. But they'll bounce back. Hasselbeck and Nate Washington going up against Indy. I like that matchup. We're going to tread lightly with 2 wide receivers this week. One is Devery Henderson of the New Orleans Saints. Look, Drew Brees has made it pretty clear. He likes throwing the football to Marcus Colston, Jimmy Graham, and Darren Sproles. Everyone else, it's a crapshoot each and every week. Henderson has not been consistent at all. He's a little banged up. So even though he's got that big play capability, let's go ahead and leave Devery on the bench in week 8. And also A.J. Green, the rookie from the Cincinnati Bengals. I just don't like that matchup. I don't think they put up good fantasy numbers. Let's move on now to the sleeper of the week. The sleeper of the week is the guy that you didn't think much of, but he actually might surprise you and put up some big numbers in week 8. This week's sleeper of the week is Knowshon Moreno, the running back for the Denver Broncos. Knowshon lost his starting job to Willis McGahee, but now McGahee is hurt and is out. So now here's a great opportunity for Knowshon Moreno to get on the good graces of head coach John Fox. He will get some carries this week against, again, a struggling Detroit team. Knowshon Moreno could be a nice surprise in week 8. He is your sleeper of the week. And now it's time for the dud of the week, the guy that is just not going to get it done in week 8. Now, this guy might not even play in week 8. It's Peyton Hillis of the Cleveland Browns. Look, when I think of Peyton Hillis, I think of tough, hard-nosed, blue-collar guys. He's missed a game this year because of a sore throat, and now his hamstring hurts. He gets on the cover of Madden, and all of a sudden the dude's a prima donna. I don't like it at all. I don't know if he plays this week, but he's been a dud all year. So Peyton Hillis gets this week's dud of the week. That's it. That's how we do it. That's Ash's Fantasy Facts for week number 8. Again, 6 teams are on a bye this week. Atlanta, Chicago, Green Bay, Oakland, the New York Jets, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Take that into consideration when setting your lineup. Get your lineup in on time, and let's go get a W in week number 8.